Skip it up and that up.
What's going on, folks? Rich of Review Tech USA, and yes, like I promised, I am actually reviewing the Nvidia Shield Android TV console. Now, yes, this is another Android console device. It's going to do the same thing like stream Netflix, so on and so forth, but Nvidia has a trick up their sleeve with the Shield console. Now, in the past, they've come out with other Shield devices. They had the Nvidia Shield Portable, which basically looked just like this controller with an LCD screen on it, came with Android, had the Tegra 4 processor in there, and it was pretty capable when it came to games. It's getting dated now. There's rumors that they're coming out with a new Nvidia Shield Portable, which is going to have the same processor that this has, the Tegra X1, but nothing's been confirmed yet. There's been some FCC rumblings, and that's about it. They also had the Nvidia Shield Tablet, which had the K1 processor in it, and that's actually still a fairly popular device. It's a little bit more anemic than the X1 processor. That has 192 cores based on the Kepler architecture. If I could talk today, this is based on the Maxwell, but it could still do some pretty decent gaming. As a matter of fact, I think Doom 3 just came out, which I do have for this, by the way, Doom 3 BFG edition, and you could also play that on the tablet with the K1 processor from Nvidia. So Nvidia has been really kind of building up to the Nvidia Shield Android TV. They've been, getting the Shield name out there, making people know about it, and it's been working fairly well. Now, if you want to know everything that comes in the box with the Nvidia Shield Android TV console, I'll have my unboxing video below. There's a whole bunch of bits and pieces that come with it. Today, I'm just going to focus mostly on the controller and the console itself. And after I do that, we'll go into the interface. Then I'll give you my final verdict. So we're going to start with the controller today because I like it. Now, this feels, probably this is the most comfortable controller next to the PS4 that I've ever used. PS4, when the 8th gen consoles came out, was my most enjoyable controller. It was very ergonomic. It fit in my hands. It didn't make my hands feel fatigued even after hours of play. And this is pretty close to it. I've seen a lot of reviews where they complain that it is big. It is fairly big. It's a pretty big controller, but it fits in my hand very well. All of the triggers and buttons feel, console grade. They don't feel like they're cheap thrown on. I use the Amazon Fire TV, and that controller just felt like a tacked on piece of kit for you to buy. This feels like it's something that would come with the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, or Wii U. So that's a compliment right there. Let's take a look around the controller. The one thing I don't like, which I'll mention, and I mentioned it in the unboxing, is the D-pad. Now, it is more functional after using this with games than the 360 D-pad, but it's still pretty bad. I understand Nintendo has the whole crosshair patent design. They have that patented, but there's been plenty of good D-pads besides Nintendo's D-pads that have come out over the years. This kind of just feels like the 360 D-pad. It's not as mushy and unresponsive, but especially when you have a Android TV console which plays Android games, a D-pad's pretty damn important. The analog sticks on here are phenomenal. They're just as good as the 360 and Xbox One analog sticks. They have a good click, solid feel really durable. I loved using these. I played them with Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Episode 1, Doom 3 BFG Edition, Dead Trigger 2, the list goes on, and you feel like you're holding a 360 controller, PS4 controller, Xbox One. They did not skimp on the analog sticks at all. Now, if you look here, X, Y, A, B, similar to a 360 or Xbox One, these are capacitive buttons for Android. So there's no feel here, no click, no anything. They're just capacitive. You just touch and you go into different screens. This is also a capacitive power button, the Nvidia button right here. Actually, as you see, I just turned it on. So it's a really good design. And there's actually a trick up this controller sleeve, which is like my favorite part of it. I'll talk about in a second. Now, what was interesting was, and maybe I'm missing something in the settings, this was when I first got the Shield and didn't update it. This was a mouse pad. Okay, this actually acted as a mouse pad, and you could click down on this and click like you do on a mouse on a computer. After I got the update for the controller and for the Shield TV or Android TV, that went away. So don't know if they really, it kind of, I will admit, got annoying because when you were playing games, as you see, I have large fat fingers, and before I got the update, the mouse would randomly show up because my finger would kind of slip off and slide on there. But I kind of like the fact that it was a mouse pad too. I have to check and see if you can turn that back on. I didn't see any settings anywhere, but I could be wrong about that because I didn't really care too much. It is nice to know that the mouse pad, it acted as a mouse pad as well, though. Hopefully that feature can be re-enabled. Now under here you have it's basically acts as a volume control. It's weird because it's a bit finicky. There's some times where you just want to lower the volume a little bit and it goes all the way down and mutes it, or you want to bring the volume all the way up or it mutes it. Now, there may have been another update because it stopped doing that. But that was kind of a little bit of an annoyance and something I thought that should be noted. It hasn't done it since. I've tried, raising and lowering the volume and it's been fine, but something to be noted, like I said, because it's kind of annoying if it does keep on doing it. If it does keep on doing it, maybe I'll make an update video, but it stopped. So cool. You got your volume down here, pseudo mouse touchpad over here, capacitive buttons, power button right there. But now on the top here, now another cool thing, I'm kind of mixed on this because I actually like being able to change out batteries, but this has a built-in battery. Okay, you don't have to change and put in AA's or anything like that. You charge it up on the top, and there you go. And then that's the how you charge the controller. On the top, though, this is the coolest part ever. Excuse me, right there. Jump cut. My dehumidifier turned on. I forgot to turn it off. It has a headphone output. So if you have a significant other, or you just want to play games privately or watch TV privately, it will stream the audio from whatever you're playing or watching or viewing on the Android Shield TV or the Shield TV or the Shield console device. People have called it a billion different names. It'll stream the audio no matter what you're doing on there, whether it be a game, TV show, YouTube, so on and so forth, right to here. Put on a pair of headphones, you're good to go. And the sound quality is phenomenal. When I figured that out, I'm like, oh, that looks like a regular headphone jack. And yes, you can use a headset with this too. And I believe games in the future are going to support chat. But if you just want to use it to have the audio, so you have the audio from whatever you're watching or playing, so you have privacy or you're not disturbing anyone else, this is a huge win. I can't go on about how much I love that. So the controller, pretty much minus the D-pad, even though it is still, like I said, more usable than the Xbox 360 D-pad, is a huge win. This feels like something that Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo would include with one of their consoles. So huge thumbs up, Nvidia. I know this controller's been around for a bit, like I said, with the other Shield Portable and the Shield tablet that Nvidia came out with, but this is the first time I experienced it, and I love it. I can't say enough good things about it. So if I had to give it between a 10-point rating, I would give it like a 9 out of 10. Good controller. Now on to the main event. And like I said, if you want to see like what other cables and stuff it comes with, look at my unboxing video below. It is the actual Shield console, Android TV, whatever you want to call it, device itself from Nvidia. Now, there are two accessories you can get, and I'm rolling my eyes as I'm saying it because all these companies always do this. You could get two things. You could get a Android TV remote, or you get a remote for the Shield, which is $50, $49.99 US dollars, and you could get a metal stand. So if you want to hold it vertical like this and make it look pretty next to your nice 4K flat screen TV, you can do that. The stand is $29.99, which I don't care if it's made of platinum. I think that's a lot of money for a stand to just make something sit up like this. But there you go. You could get those two. Honestly, the controller has everything that the remote has. You could go through different, like if you want to go from Netflix to downloaded games or whatever, you could go through right there on the controller. The controller also has, excuse me, I almost forgot to mention this, a mic built in. So everything that's on that remote is on the controller. The only reason you would want the remote is if you want something more streamlined than using the controller. You want something smaller, that's about it. You're not really gaining anything from buying the remote control. The stand, like I said, $30, piece of metal. If you really want to hold this up vertical, spend the money. I think it should have been like 20 bucks, not 30. Now, the other cool thing that I probably should have mentioned from the get-go, and what separates the Shield Android TV console from the rest of the pack is that this does 4K. Now, that's not exciting in and of itself, but this is 4K at 60 frames per second. This actually supports HDMI 2.2. So if you have a 4K TV that supports HDMI 2, you could watch on Netflix, because there is content on Netflix that already supports 4K. You could watch 4K at 60 hertz or 60 frames per second from this device, and that, as of now, is a first. So let's take a look around the back. This is the Shield itself. Let's look at the let's look at the design of the Shield, not ergonomics, because you're not going to be holding it in your hand. Really like the design of it. You have the matte plastic here. Okay, you have the shiny fingerprint attracting plastic, which, as I'm sure you can see on camera, attracts a crap ton of fingerprints. And then over here you have a very responsive capacitive button. This is how you power on the console. Works really nice. You tap it once, turns on, tap it once again, turns it right off. Really good design, and it's a really good looking device. If you look in the front here, you do have a IR sensor, because you can use this with third-party smart remotes. So if you want it, I don't know which ones are compatible off the top of my head, but if you look up and you want to actually get a remote, not the one that Nvidia has, and want to use something third-party that maybe is a little more feature-rich, you have a IR sensor right there for it. So there you go. That was nice for Nvidia to include. Under here, this actually isn't passively cooled. The X1 does require a little small fan. You'll see vents under here. And that's pretty much it for the front. Nothing on the sides, nothing on that side. I will take a look at the back. Here's another vent. That's where the fan air comes out. That cools the processor. Over here, now this is another thing I forgot to mention. There's going to be two models. There's one coming out very soon, and this is the one that I have. This is the 16 gigabyte Shield, where it has 16 gigabytes of internal memory, which, especially since this is going to have some AAA games on it, isn't that much. So you could plop a micro SD card in here, and you could actually put in the settings, put it that all the games and all the apps will automatically install to an SD card. I have a 32 gigabyte SD card in here, and I have it set up like all my games like Half-Life 2 will automatically transfer over without me having to press another button. So now the other big thing is too, that I will talk about now, is pricing. The Shield that has 16 gigabytes of internal storage is $199. The 500 gigabyte Shield is going to be $299. Now, if you see some videos where some people have cracked this open, you could actually put a 2.5 gigabyte or 2.5 inch, laptop hard drive. However, you can only buy it from Nvidia. You can't just put your own third-party hard drive in there and include it, because there's no SATA cables, there's no SATA ports. You can only get the 500 gigabyte Shield from Nvidia. You can't put in your own third-party hard drive later. So keep that in mind. So if you actually want the extra storage, you got to fork over another $100 for this and spend $299 US. So, but it does include Borderlands, the pre-sequel. So I guess that kind of eases the pain of spending almost $300 on an Android gaming console device. You have micro USB 2.0 here, USB 3.0, and you can hook up like USB 3.0 hard drives to store videos and things like that. You have gigabit Ethernet right here, HDMI, like I said, 2.2, which outputs 4K at 60 hertz, and you have the proprietary power that it comes with. So the only thing I could say in terms of design is that I wish they included optical audio out. I understand that's kind of becoming a dated way to, transfer 5.1 digital or 7.1 audio digital, but there's still a lot of people with receivers that have that, and it would have been nice to see. I know they have devices that they could get that from HDMI that'll convert it to optical audio, but they could have squeezed in a optical audio output on here. But that's about it. I really like the design. I think it's a very clean design. I think it's very minimalist too, so you can plop it right under your brand new pretty 4K TV and you'll be good to go. Now we're going to go into the features and I'll show you around the interface of the Nvidia Shield Android TV device, and then I'll give you my final verdict. So let me go hook this up to my TV and I'll show you guys around and show you some of the gameplay and different features of it. All right, so this is Android TV. This is the user interface you're going to see with your Nvidia Shield console. And it needs a little bit of work. On the top row right here, you're looking at the different recommended apps and videos and games that it has for you. It's kind of random, doesn't really make too much sense. But again, Android TV is in its infancy, so I will give it a pass for now. If 6 months from now it still looks like this, that's a whole different story, and I will be sure to make a video complaining about it. Moving on. Now under here, you're going to see the Shield Hub, where they have stream games. Those are games you actually stream from Nvidia's grid. They are PC games. They have a whole bunch of these servers with a bunch of high-end graphics cards in them, and it works kind of how other online gaming stream services have worked in the past. On Live, I'm looking at you. Rest in peace, but they're doing the same thing. I'll talk about how the stream games worked in a minute. You have the downloaded games, or the download games like Doom 3, Half-Life 2, that actually are played natively or on your hardware using the X1 chip inside of the Nvidia Shield console, and you have GeForce PC games. So if you have a gaming PC in your home and you have the Nvidia Shield console, you could stream games to it like in your living room. Say your PC's in the office, your gaming PC's in the office, and you want to play games in your living room, you could do that under the GeForce PC Games tab. You just have to make sure your gaming PC has the Nvidia GeForce Experience installed on it. And last but not least, as you're seeing there is also Netflix. Obviously, due to copyright reasons, I can't really show you anything in Netflix. Maybe I'm being a little too paranoid, but you know how YouTube works. It runs great. Netflix runs fantastic. It's fast. It's very responsive. This is the most responsive Android TV console box, whatever you want to call it, that I have used. And on top of it, too, there are 4K shows on Netflix, and the Nvidia Shield console can run them. So Netflix runs great. The downside is there's not other things like HBO Go, and there's other TV show and movie apps and services that boxes like Roku have and Apple TV have that the Nvidia Shield does not have yet. I'm not going to hit it as hard as a lot of other reviews I've seen have went after it for not having like HBO Go, because it's new, and I'm sure those issues are going to be resolved. Again, 6 months from now, if it still doesn't have HBO Go, that'll be a whole different story. But this is a new device. I'm going to cut it some slack for now, but just keep in mind, if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for HBO Go and other services that you get on like Roku or Apple TV, make sure the Nvidia Shield supports them right now, because if it doesn't, you may want to look elsewhere. Now, keep in mind, it also does have Hulu, but I wanted to show you the horrible web browser that Android TV has. Yeah, you have to have a keyboard installed to search anything. So if you just want to use maybe the remote or gamepad to browse the web, not happening, as you see here. Yeah, they definitely have a lot of work to do on the web browser for Android TV. It's terrible. Moving on. So what you're looking at here is Doom 3 being played on the actual Shield console. This is not being streamed to it. This is being run off the Tegra X1 chip that's inside the Nvidia Shield, and it looks great. This game actually runs at 1080p, 60 frames per second, and in my opinion, it actually looks better than it did on the PS3 and Xbox 360. You could pick this up for the Nvidia Shield for $10, and if you haven't played Doom 3 before, it's about time you did. It's an awesome game. I highly recommend it. Now, this is the full version of the Talos Principle running on the Nvidia Shield. Again, this is not being streamed. This is running on the actual hardware, and it looks gorgeous. The frame rate gets a little jumpy. It seems like they could have optimized this more for the Tegra X1 chip, but look, you're seeing the God rays there. It looks gorgeous, and this is the same full game that you would get on PC. They cut no corners with this, so yeah, once again, really impressive. And even, it's not running at full 1080p, but it's still a gorgeous game. And it's amazing that this is running on a mobile chipset. Holy crap, it's unreal. So yeah, this is Talos Principle in all its glory running on the Nvidia Shield console. Now, this is Saints Row the Third. This is actually being streamed from Nvidia's grid. This is not being played natively on the Nvidia Shield console. And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised at how responsive the grid games, the streaming games were. I have to say there was very little input lag on the controller. It was almost unnoticeable most of the time. I actually forgot in a couple cases that I was actually streaming a game and not playing it natively, which was pretty impressive. And I even played Street Fighter or Ultra Street Fighter 4. I don't have footage of that, unfortunately, but I was playing Ultra Street Fighter 4, and it was playable. You felt a little bit of lag with it, but it was almost even unnoticeable with a fighting game, so I was very impressed with that. The problem with streaming games is that it requires a lot of bandwidth. I believe it's 30 megabits per second minimum that you need to have to get a solid connection to play or stream grid games. And it would get choppy. If you see in the top right corner, they show the quality of my stream. And I have Fios internet, 85 megabits per second up and down. And I still couldn't get past 2 bars, and I was very close to my router. So if you want to actually utilize the grid streaming, I suggest that you actually plug into the gigabit Ethernet port on the back of the Shield and don't use Wi-Fi like I did. I just didn't have an ideal way to actually plug the Shield right into my router, so I had to deal with it this way. But that's the way most people are going to use the Shield, is use the wireless AC that's built into it. So this was a real world scenario. Now, the cool thing about
streaming games in the grid with Nvidia, though, is in the late June, they're starting up a service, okay, where you're gonna have to pay, I believe, monthly. But the nice thing about it too is that if you purchase a game through Nvidia Grid or their streaming service, you'll actually get a Steam key as well. This is according to a spokesperson from Nvidia themselves. So if you don't want to actually stream the game, or maybe you're traveling somewhere and you want to play the game on your gaming laptop or something like that, and you don't have good internet where you're going, where you can't stream maybe Batman Arkham Knight, they'll actually give you a Steam key so you could download it from Steam and play the game on your gaming PC or gaming laptop, whatever, which I think is a nice incentive. And now that I own the Shield, it's probably how I'm going to buy the game, so I could stream them and play them natively on my gaming PC. So it needs a lot of work still, okay? This wouldn't be the only way I'd want to play games, but it's a little more promising than I thought. But you're going to need a hell of an internet connection to actually utilize this feature and enjoy it.
So final verdict time, ladies and gentlemen. Should you buy the Nvidia Shield Android TV game console? I guess that's the name I'm going to roll with, because like I said, everyone calls it a different name. I am going to say a somewhat hesitant yes. I loved playing Doom 3 on here. I loved playing Half-Life 2. I loved how speedy the interface was. And when they have things like HBO Go and Android TV gets a little more refined, like they actually have a usable web browser in here, I think this thing is going to be awesome. And they have great games like Resident Evil 5 coming to it, so on and so forth. And I'm looking forward to it. I think it's cool to see such a small device have so much power, where it can include more than just the casual Android games and still give you a great like Netflix experience. I really think that Nvidia hit a home run with this. And even though there is a bunch of issues right now, like I had a couple games that glitched out on me, and there is other things, it needs to be streamlined, it needs to be polished. I see the potential with this. The only thing I'll say is I think that honestly, the $299 500 gigabyte model is way too pricey. At that point, you could get something like a Wii U that can do a lot of what this does, minus 4K, and give you a more robust gaming experience. That may change in the future. Like I said, the games I played on this ran phenomenal. I'm very impressed with the Tegra X1, but the asking price of $299 for still, let's face it, it's an Android gaming TV device, is a lot of money. But for the $199 model, go out and buy a 32 gigabyte card, go download it like Doom 3 BFG edition for $10 and have a fucking blast with this thing, man. Someone finally, it's not perfect yet, but it can be fixed with updates. Nvidia finally made an enjoyable and worthwhile Android TV gaming console device, and a lot of other people out there failed miserably, and they succeeded. I love this thing. It's not perfect, but I have to recommend it. This is Rich of Review Tech USA signing out. Have a good one.